Learn how to create, sustain, and scale up your print-on-demand business with the latest tips, guides, and strategies to help you start selling and making money today. Welcome to the Sales on Demand Show. And here's your host, Adam Schneider.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Sales on Demand Show. I'm Adam, and I am eating cookies. Alright, so I was supposed to put this episode out in 2019, so right now, I want you to close your eyes, unless you're driving. Just, squint a little bit and pretend that it's December 31st, 2018, and Christmas has just ended. Everybody's in that no man's land between Christmas and New Year's. You don't really know what to say to people. You're like, hey, happy Christmas year? Happy New Christmas? I don't know, Merry New Year, whatever. Just give me some more pie, man. So, we are going to do this like it's the last episode of 2018. 19. I don't know, what year is it? What day is it? What's my name? So we're going to pretend it's 2019. We're going to review. So I did review Amazon. And hopefully you found that episode to be encouraging, because I was encouraged by my success on Amazon this year. And now I've saved the worst for last. We're going to talk about Etsy. Good old Etsy. How I love you. All right, so as you can probably tell by the tone of voice and the sort of snarkiness of my comments, I didn't quite do as well on Etsy as I had hoped to do, and the problem is that I know exactly why, and the reason is that I didn't work hard enough at it, and the reason I didn't work hard enough at it is that I don't want to work at this. I want this to be a side thing. I don't want this to be my full-time, business. So, all right, let's start with what's happening right now. It's actually, the real time is January the 3rd. The pretend time is December the 31st, but it is slow, and I'm actually seeing it's almost slower than it was last year at this time, which is probably not a good trend in terms of what we can expect for the new year, 2020. Like I said, I've had a feeling for a long time that there is some kind of recession creeping around the corner, ready to jump out, and Donald Trump better hope that it waits till after November, because otherwise he's going to lose his seat in the Oval Office, and we'll have oh my God, we'll probably have like Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders sitting in there. Like, can you imagine Joe Biden, just going around and sniffing everything in sight? Man, that's going to be crazy. But you know what could happen? Anyway, I don't really care. Trump just bombed some guy in Iran. Everybody's kind of getting insane over that. So maybe that's slowing things down. But in any case, we're just waiting for Valentine's Day. So that's the next big thing. And you should be starting to create your products and upload them now. You might even see a couple of early sales. Now, the reason that you want to get this done now is because past about the 1st of February, if somebody orders, they're probably not going to get their product in time for Valentine's Day. So you got to get on this early to try and take advantage of the rush. Just the same as Christmas. Think ahead, plan ahead, and then you'll be ahead of the game. So, let's talk about Etsy. So, I started selling on Etsy in 2017, and it was actually my very first sales that I ever got. And I was kind of encouraged because I had only had about, I can't even remember how many products I had listed, maybe like 12 or something like that, and I made my first sale. And it was just some random text design that I'd made according to the low-hanging system sort of method. Most of the products that I have for sale are simple black text on a white coffee mug. And you know what? They sell just fine. It's easy as heck to create hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these black text on white coffee mug designs, upload them, list them, and you find winners and scale the winners. On Etsy, it's a little bit harder to scale winners. So, I went through 2017, maybe made maybe 100 sales. I don't even think I made that many. I think my biggest day was 4 sales, 4 or 5 or something like that. So I could be wrong. My memory is a little foggy. All the Christmas cookies are making me forget my name. And apparently I'm forgetting what time of day it is. So 2018 was much the same as 2017, except in November, I started looking for trending ideas, and I started to actually research and see what was selling so that I could create something similar. So I made some trending products, and they just started selling like crazy. So 2018 was fantastic. I did about $10,000, maybe a little bit more than that, over the 30 days of Christmas. Now, on the other hand, I had to deal with tons and tons of customer messages, some screw-ups, some refunds, and Canada Post made my life a living hell. Just a living hell, because there was a postal strike right at Christmas. Canada Post went on strike at Christmas time. I don't even know what they were striking for. I mean, they make a lot of money. Now, I don't think the majority of postal workers wanted the strike, but the union did. So anyway, it just created a huge problem. I ended up having to refund a bunch of Canadians because their product still hadn't arrived after like 6 weeks. And you know what? I had to own that. It was Canada Post's fault, but it was my problem. And it was frustrating, but I made it through. And again, I thought 2019, I'm going to scale this up. Now, I had big dreams for 2019, and I didn't quite live them out. I was a little bit lazier than I should have been. So, in 2019, for Christmas, I only did about half of the number of sales I did in 2018. About 5,000. Maybe even a little less than that, like 4,500. On the other hand, I didn't spend as much money on ads, so I made a little bit more profit on those sales. The profit margin was a little bit higher. I also had quite a bit fewer messages, and once again, Canada Post was just wretchedly slow. I've had people message me 4 weeks after the order. They're like, I haven't got my product. What's going on? Now, the problem is, because I live in Canada, people who order in Canada, and this is the weird thing about Etsy compared to Amazon. On Etsy, you're actually a real person. You're not just like this faceless ghost that's behind the scenes of Amazon. Nobody cares who you are on Amazon. You are like invisible. When people buy from Amazon, they're buying from Amazon, and it's just your sort of the name that appears in the bottom corner. They can go and they can look at your storefront, but nobody really cares. They don't care who you are. You don't have any story. You are just a seller on Amazon. On Etsy, you're like a real human being. And you get people like just message you, asking you questions, and people are much, much more liberal with the messages on Etsy. And it's easier for people to receive and send messages. Much more easier than on Amazon. And when you buy from someone on Etsy, you're buying from them. And Etsy makes it clear that you are buying from this seller, and you can set your own policies. For example, you do not have to allow people to cancel orders. You do not have to allow returns. You can just set whatever policies you like, as long as they're listed in your storefront, and then you just live by those policies. On Amazon, you just live by Amazon's policies. And if a customer wants to cancel an order, then they cancel the order. If a customer wants to return it, then you return it. On Etsy, I do not accept returns but I do accept cancellations within like a day or two. And you know what? Whatever. If somebody wants to cancel, they're like, well, I changed my mind. I don't care. Fine, I'll cancel your order. I have no problem with that. Some people don't accept cancellations. They're like, you order, you're getting it. And if you don't respond, there's a bunch of people that have very strict policies. Let's just put it that way. All right, so, once again, Canada Post was so slow that I'm actually debating not selling to Canadians any longer. And this is irritating. Because I live in Canada, people think that I'm shipping direct from me to you, but that's not how it works. I'm drop shipping, but people don't really get that, right? They just see that you're selling this coffee mug on Etsy. They don't know how it gets to them. They don't know how it's created. Honestly, I'm actually... At first I was concerned that... I'm like, why are people buying from us? I can go open up an account on Gearbubble, create this coffee mug, and then order it for myself, and do it for half the price. I'm like, why wouldn't people do that? But honestly, people, they neither know about that, and they're not motivated to do that. They're just looking for a gift, and you're on Etsy, you have a gift that they want, so they're going to order from you. That's how it works. And you charge double what it costs you. At least double what it costs you. And that's just for a basic coffee mug. If they want customization, you always charge more. Always charge more. Now, I broke that rule a few times because people asked for customization that was just ridiculously easy. They're like, well, just put a picture on the back. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they send me the picture, and I'm like, all right, this is easy. I upload the picture to the back, and boom, done. All right. So I asked myself the real question. What does Etsy hold for me in 2020? Should I stay on Etsy? Now, there are some benefits to Etsy that go beyond just the thousands of dollars that you might make on Etsy in any given year. And I'm averaging about $10,000 a year in sales, with about half of that, maybe a little less than half of that, being profit. So I'm going to tell you about the benefits here. So first of all, I find a lot of Amazon winners from Etsy sales, and I find items that are trending and they kind of catch on faster. And so not so much this year, but last year I scaled up a lot of FBA items from items that were selling well on Etsy. I even found a couple of really hot products, and I'll talk about that on benefit number 4. But now benefit number 2. So you get double the results from the designs that you create. Let's suppose that you're creating more elaborate designs, with some graphical work or something like that, or you're using your own art or something like that. Well, all of the time that you spend designing, if you're only selling on Amazon or you're only selling on Etsy, you're only getting 1/2 of the potential benefits from every design. See, selling on 2 platforms is easy. You get more results from most of the same effort. Of course, there's the effort of actually listing on Etsy, which is not insignificant. It takes I should say it takes a long time, but it takes a decent amount of time to create a good Etsy listing. But you can speed it up by having a process, and I'll talk about the process briefly, at least my process. So it's basically title and tags. The title that you're going to use on Etsy is different from what you'd use on Amazon. So, benefit number 3, research on Etsy is easy and effective. Trends always appear here first. Also, you should take a look at Merch by Amazon, which is the Amazon t-shirt print-on-demand store, and Teespring. So you're going to find those killer trends on those platforms first. And you should always be researching and finding those new trends, because those are the items that you're going to make stacks of money on. All right? I mean, you can create these ideas, just come up with ideas off the top of your head. Maybe they'll sell, maybe they won't. But the best and the most trending items are always found by doing research. And then you take the idea or you take the trend and you make your own design and upload it. So, alright, so benefit number 4, and this is a big one, and this is by itself would justify me remaining on Etsy to sell. So customers will frequently message me, and more so during Christmas, because that's sort of the explosion of sales, right? So I get all these requests from customers, and I'm like, hey, can you make a design? I like this design, but can you make it say this? Or they'll say, hey, can you design something like blah, blah, blah? And they'll say, can you make something that looks like this or whatever? And those requests, I mean, you can make that design and send it to that customer, but I would strongly recommend if you ever get a request from a customer, just make it into a basic product and upload it for everyone to see. Because that will, oftentimes I will find some of my best products from those customer requests. And so I always take these customer requests very seriously. They're irritating to get sometimes because you just get, like, by the last few days before Christmas, I was getting like 4 or 5 requests every day, and I was just completely overwhelmed. I was like, I cannot keep track of who asked for what. I'll create the designs that I can, try to get them up before Christmas is over. And you know what? Every single one of them sold to somebody. So every time somebody said, hey, can you make this design say this? And sometimes it was just these stupid, pet names for your grandparents or something like that. I had a lot of that. So somebody said, hey, can you make this say Pap Pap? And I was like, Pap Pap? What is that, like a baby name? Like, that's stupid sounding to me. I mean, I'm just a humble cop, man. I don't know anything about these grandparents' names that babies call their grandparents, but apparently that's a big trend. So keep that in mind too. But I made it, I listed it, and it sold like 4 or 5 times. And I was like, wow, okay. Apparently people like their Pap Pap. So yeah, pay attention to that. Alright, so my goals for 2020. Well, I mean, I gotta work harder this year than I did last year. I mean, I only think I may have uploaded like 30 or 40 designs over and above what I already had. And they were all designs based on things that I knew were going to sell. So I did, they all sold. Like, I don't think I uploaded it. I think about 80% of the designs that I uploaded and listed this year had at least one sale. And most of them had like 2 or 3 or 4. So I'm getting much, much better at picking the winners because I see what's selling and I'm like, oh yeah, well, I'll just make this for that. Boom, 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 done. It gets a sale. My goals for 2020, I'm going to add 400 new designs by Christmas. Good ones. And these will come out of the 1,500 total designs that I have planned for Amazon this year. So you might be asking, well, how come I don't just upload all 1,500 of those designs to Etsy as well? And that's because making a listing on Etsy, it costs 20 cents and it takes way longer to do. And that's because you got to go in, you got to edit your title, and you got to add in your tags. You have to do that. If you want your design to be appearing in the search, when people search on Etsy, you have to make a title that is designed for that search. So here's a basic set of instructions. Go and find someone who's already selling something similar. Take what they're doing and use it as inspiration for your title. It's not rocket science. Just look at what people are doing on Etsy already. And basically, I don't mean imitate that, but use it as inspiration. Don't copy people's products. That's a douchey thing to do. That is a really dirtbag thing to do. And they will notice it. They will come after you. But if you were inspired and you use the ideas that they're doing, then it's not really, there's nothing immoral about that. I mean, ideas are limited, right? It's kind of like saying, well, I own the word dog mom. Well, no, you don't. and I'm going to make a dog mom design based on my own, thoughts. But, there's some themes that go through there, and you can only take an idea and do so many things with it. So anyway, I'm going to try to add 400 designs by Christmas. At least 350. I need to at least double what I've got. And my goal is to get back to around $10,000 to $15,000 in sales over the Christmas period. That's good enough for me. I don't really want much more than that. I'll be honest with you. I don't want Etsy to go crazy because Etsy is a time burner, man. I mean, especially just before the Christmas period. I mean, I got a job, and I don't have time to be sitting there like replying to customers all day long and just doing all this stuff. So I want to have a nice, quiet Christmas season, relatively speaking. And so there's probably a few things that I'm not going to do. First of all, I'm turning off all customization. I'm not doing customization for anybody. It's just a waste of my time. I just don't have time to sit there and customize products for people. Sure, I can make an extra couple bucks here and there, but I just don't think it's not a valuable part of my time. I want to do all of the work before Christmas, and then I want to spend my Christmas just doing the normal routine, like sending in new stock for FBA for Amazon, just making sure all of my orders are imported, making sure that my my account's in good condition, all of those things. So I'm turning off customization. That's just worthless. Then I am going to delete anything that hasn't sold more than once. I do have a lot of listings that are expired on my Etsy account. I actually only have less than 280 active listings. So that's not very many. But all of those listings have at least one sale. So I'm going to go through, and if I think anything, I may edit the title and tags of a few products, but anything that hasn't made a sale, or at least 2 sales, it's going to be deleted, and I'll just move on from that. It's not worth trying to pursue a product that people obviously are not that interested in. So that's my year on Etsy. That's all I'm planning to do. You'll notice that it's very simple. It's a very simple set of steps. I have a goal of the number of designs I want to add. I'm going to have to add them in blocks. I don't have time every single day to do this, so I have to sort of plan, a day every week or something like that to do it. But as long as you're consistent, you don't have to be consistent every single day, but you should be consistent every single week or 2 weeks. But it's harder if you do it every 2 weeks because you'll forget. If you don't set a day for it every week, you will forget. Or you'll just get too lazy to do it. And you'll procrastinate. You'll be like, we have lots of time. It's only January. Christmas is still like 12 months away. Hey man, there's still Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day. You can easily make as much money as you did at Christmas over those 3 holidays, and probably more. Last year on Amazon, I was doing about half of the volume for Mother's Day that I did at Christmas. And that's pretty good. So it's kind of like having like second Christmas, which is fantastic. Everybody loves second Christmas, right? It's kind of like second breakfast. But, it's just money instead of food. So my final thoughts about Etsy, and I don't know, man, I struggle with, whether I struggle with whether I'm going to stay on Etsy. The benefits seem to outweigh the drawbacks. But the great thing about Etsy is that if you got time, you can make a decent stack of money. And you don't have to spend a bunch of money to do it either. I mean, you can, listing items, of course, it costs 20 cents. That's nothing. 20 cents is nothing. Because a listing on Etsy has a much, much, much higher chance of selling than a listing on Amazon. You got to list like 10 times the amount of products on Amazon to make the same number of sales if you're not using fulfillment by Amazon. But the great thing about Amazon is there's this cheat code, and there isn't that cheat code on Etsy. You can't cheat on Etsy by sending in your product for FBA. Amazon is great because not only do you get a boost in rankings with FBA, but Amazon handles all of the customer service, or at least they try to. And I told you the story last week of the customer who Amazon told them to contact me, and I was like, no, you're not supposed to contact me. All right, fine, I'll just take care of you. And I did. At my own cost, I sent them a replacement product. I didn't have to, but I did. But on Etsy, you're talking to every customer almost. And customers, they'll want this fiddly little thing changed. They want that changed. Now, the way to make a ton of money on Etsy is to offer products that are customizable. People love that. You don't have to, and you can still make pretty good money without offering customization. But, if you've got the time to do it, you're working part-time or you're at home for the holidays, whatever it is, you got the time, make use of it. Some of the top sellers on Etsy, well, I'll just share with you what some of the sellers are doing. One lady said she had 140 sales on Cyber Monday alone. 140 sales. That's crazy. That's a lot. I think I might have had like 250 sales for the entire Christmas period altogether. And she got almost that many sales just in one day. Now, she ended up getting way behind on fulfilling those orders because she does it all manually. And I'm like, really? You do it all manually? And she hurt her back. It was crazy. She has a crazy story. Now, you can read her story if you're part of the Low Hanging System group. There's going to be a link in the show notes, and I strongly encourage you, right now is a great time to jump in and start learning how to do this. As much as I can tell you on a podcast, you will learn 10 times as much by joining the Low Hanging System. It's not just a training program where you watch videos. It's an encouragement group. It's a group of sellers who know what they're doing, and they want to encourage you. We want to encourage you and help you do better. You can ask questions, you can post your results, you can talk about your frustrations, your wins, your losses, whatever it is. That's what the group is for. The Facebook group is probably worth, if it weighed anything, it would be worth its weight in gold. Of course, it's a Facebook group, it doesn't have any weight. So, it's definitely worth the price. It's $300 to join. $297. I mean, yeah, $300. So, jump in there. You know what? Now is a great time to do it. It's January. I mean, December 31st. Yes, it's December 31st. All right, everybody. That's it for today. I wish you all a happy new year. I don't know what's going to happen in 2020. It's going to be interesting. But don't lose hope. We are going to win. You know what? This is an easy business to get into, and we are all very lucky to be living in the internet age when you can literally make money sitting at home, staring at your computer screen. And you don't have to have a boss standing over your shoulder. Sometimes you'll have customers who are kind of like a boss. But the great thing is that you only have to deliver them one product, and then they don't get to boss you around again. So keep your chin up. We'll see you guys in 2020. Cheers.